Today we're talking about Sergio Perez and his seat coming into jeopardy at Red Bull, AlphaTauri signing Yuki and Daniel Ricciardo, Logan Sargeant continues to not help himself, and IndyCar finally released the 2024 schedule, and some fans are not happy with it. First, let's talk about Sergio Perez and Red Bull. This past weekend, Max Verstappen and Red Bull were able to secure their 6th Constructors' Championship, with Max cruising to the checkered flag with a 19-second gap. If Max wins the next sprint race in Qatar, he'll also win the Drivers' Championship. But things weren't all great at Red Bull this weekend. If you watch the Japanese Grand Prix, you'll know Sergio Perez had a pretty bad day. At the start of the race at turn 1, he had a collision with Hamilton. He received a 5-second penalty overtaking Fernando Alonso ahead of the safety car. He received another 5-second penalty for hitting Kevin Magnussen at turn 11, and that's just some of what happened. There's plenty more we can break down on what went wrong that day. And with everything that's been happening with Perez over the last several races, there's been a lot of speculation about where he'll be and where he sits with Red Bull. You have Christian Horner saying, "At Red Bull Racing, we want the best 2 drivers that are available. We've got a long-term contract with Max. Checo is out of contract at the end of 24, and so you want to explore and see all those options. Checo is in a hot seat at the moment and will obviously be keen to extend. We'll see how Daniel does, we'll see how Yuki does, and in the background, we'll see what Liam's capable of in test and reserve role." Perez has 1 year left on his contract with Red Bull, but with drivers like Yuki Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, and Daniel Ricciardo, they'll all be looking for a chance to have a seat in Red Bull for 2025. On that same trio, it has been confirmed that Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo will be the 2024 driver lineup. This is somewhat of a surprise because there was speculation that Liam Lawson would have a full-time seat considering his performances over the last 4 races. So for now, at least until 2024, Liam Lawson will be a test and reserve driver. It is important to note though that both Daniel and Yuki only have an extension until 2024. So that means sometime mid-season next year, the rumors will start to talk about who goes where. And on the last video I made, we talked about how Logan Sargeant is struggling to find success in Formula 1. And this past weekend did him no favors. During qualifying, in the first few minutes, he sends the car into the wall. On race day, he was not allowed to start on the grid. He lined up at the pit lane, but also had to serve a 10-second penalty. So at the first safety car on the opening lap, they brought Sargeant in to serve that penalty. Then he ends up hitting Bottas and eventually retired the car. Sargeant went on to say, "It's difficult. On one hand, you want to be aggressive. On the other hand, you don't want to make any mistakes. I'm not trying to put the car in the wall. I can't say anything else. I'm trying to do my best. The hard thing is that I know I have the pace, but these little mistakes cause me a lot of problems." Then you have Ralf Schumacher saying this about Logan Sargeant. "Sorry, but he's in the wrong series. You shouldn't be making mistakes like this in Formula 1. He's overwhelmed. He tries to force it, but it doesn't work that way in F1. And allegedly, Toto Wolff even tried to convince William that Schumacher was going to be the best bet for the 2024 season, and even sent over some sim data to Williams. So for now, Logan Sargeant is the last driver on the grid that does not have a confirmed or secure seat for 2024. That being said though, we know that Sargeant will have a seat for at least the remaining of this season. Team boss James Vowles said, "We will give Logan the chance to prove himself into the end of the season. So let's see what he does." And finally, the IndyCar series have released the 2024 schedule, and some fans are not happy with it. The schedule is sticking to the 17 races, but with some notable changes. The Nashville Grand Prix is moving from August to the season finale, and Laguna Seca, which was the last race of the season until now, has been moved to the end of June. The part of the schedule where fans aren't happy about is Texas Motor Speedway, a track that IndyCar has raced since 1997, has been removed from the schedule. Texas Motor Speedway Executive Vice President and General Manager Mark Faber said, "Despite the best efforts by both Texas Motorsport Speedway and IndyCar, we have been unable to reach an agreement on a date that works for both parties for 2024. The new calendar will also bring Milwaukee back into the schedule with a doubleheader in both August and September. And right after the season opener, they will have a non-points race on March 24th at the Thermal Club with a $1 million purse. And I'm really excited about the 2024 schedule. I'll definitely be attending more races." And that's gonna wrap up this video. Whether it's about Sergio Perez at Red Bull, AlphaTauri signing the drivers, Logan Sargeant continuing to struggle, or the IndyCar series, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'll talk to you guys on the next one.